So you just had your 50th anniversary. You're moving well, you're growing, you're innovating, you're having fun. I have to say, from a personal standpoint, having that after 50 is exciting for me, you know. Regine, I want to start with you because yesterday I had a conversation with Bernard Tyson at Kaiser Permanente, and I marveled at the size, 200,000 employees, but 8 states, the District of Columbia. You're in 220 countries. That is, I think you're the most global company I've ever heard of, actually, 220 countries. How do you create one culture with that?
First of all, it is a fantastic experience to work with 220 countries. Have you done it? You will never work for a local company. So how did we do it? We really created a focus strategy, which you see behind us. Motivated people create great service, loyal customer, and loyal customer leads to a profitable network. And back to motivated employees, we really developed a program, a cultural change program, which is called Certified International Specialist. And we all speak the same language, and we all share the same passport. It doesn't matter which religion, it doesn't matter which country, we share one passport and we have the same values. And this is how to create a framework. And based on these values, we have then recognition programs in place. A fantastic way to talk to the people.
So let me just push a little bit on this, because 220 countries is 220 different sets of national holidays, lots of religions, ways of dressing, different benefits programs that different countries require. That really is a lot to manage. And when you think about that, what is the secret that you've got for sort of, you know, threading the needle through all of these different countries?
Think global and act local. Respect the local, let me say, legislation. Respect the local holidays. Respect the local requests. This is really the secret. And even more, be proud of it that you are so different. For example, we have in the meantime hired a lot of people from Middle East in Belgium or Germany. And we celebrate Ramadan and Eid there as well. So listen to the people, what their need is, and really respect this. And this is the secret behind it.
Can I just also comment a little bit on that, because you're absolutely right, we're celebrating our 50th anniversary. It was in this fine city that we're incorporated, moving our first ever document from 400 California Street to Hawaii. But I think the ability to be global is that in 1969 or January 1970, we started to spread organically, I say, around the back of the world, in the sense that Fiji and the Pacific Islands and Sydney and Auckland were our first offices in 72, and then Hong Kong 74. And by 76, or 7 years, we'd become pretty much a global company. And all the people in those offices were local. Mm-hmm. So, and there's no one better to observe local customs than local people. And so I think this thing about being truly international in every country is, when you've been at it so long and you pioneered the express industry, comes quite easily to us.
And you now are the largest globally, 38% market share for time-sensitive international parcels. So you've really grown incredibly. We're in an age here where there's been some pushback on globalization. There's a lot of, you come from a nation where they're dealing with Brexit now. Here there's been some pushback as well. How has that changed the model for you?
I think, trade and globalization has been around 5000 BC, and trade will always win out. It's a very hackneyed phrase in my view, but globalization is too big to fail. So whilst people get in the way of globalization, people get in the way of trade, and that's happening right now in front of us. The essentials of you have, I want, I have, you want, win out. People are very self-resuscitating. Businesses are very self-resuscitating. People want to trade, want to sell things, want to buy things. What's so disheartening to me is that of all the origin-destination pairs, as we call them, all the trading lanes possible in the world, 25% of them have no recorded commerce whatsoever. And we know that when trade starts flowing, prosperity and education increases. OECD came out with a statistic that said frontline, as we would call them, other people would call them blue collar, frontline workers get paid between 3 and 9 times a higher salary than those countries that are less open and less connected. So there's no argument in my mind for protectionism, and there's everything to say globalization is good for everything, and it's the sort of cheapest thing you can get your hands on that makes the world a better place.
So that is definitely. So we're going to talk about innovation now, but nothing drives innovation quite like necessity. And you have faced this enormous disruption in your business model with e-commerce. It's been, and of course, what you've done is you've embraced it. I mean, but it's a very, very different model from the traditional package delivery in the express trade, which was business to business. And now you're delivering to millions and millions of homes or remote places around the world.
Yeah, well, I say to my wife, keep shopping and keep shipping, because, you know, that's
you hear that,
what,
everybody?
so please carry on. But
exactly.
yeah, I think this thing came upon us about 5 or 6 years ago. E-commerce really started to move. And if you think years ago, when maybe my father was selling tractors all over the world or whatever, if you wanted to do business with China, you waited to get your visa, you flew to China, you ordered the brochures, you radioed back for more brochures when you visited the trade fairs, and it went on and on and on. You extended your trip, you needed another visa. Now, in a small little shed in Slovenia, someone's cooking up a great product that they can put on the world stage tomorrow, literally, and orders start flowing to countries they've never even heard of. So for us, it wasn't a lifeboat, it was a growth rocket, and it was clear to see that if we played in the premium end of transportation, which is where we sit, so the Shimano brake for a Cannondale mountain bike, or the part for a Fender guitar, or Kim Kardashian's dog food, whatever it is, there's a premium end, I've learned, to everything in life. There's an expensive end, and because the product needs to carry the cost of the transportation. So for DHL to move it, for it then to probably incur customs duties at destination, it needs to have its own value. And typically fashion, luxury fashion and high-end fashion is probably the industry that we serve most successfully, but consumer electronics and so on and so forth.
It's fantastic. I have to correct you on one thing. It's Khloe Kardashian that has the dog food. Regine, the fuel for all that rocket, you know, for all that, you know, amazing growth engine are your people. You know, and this is what you guys have really invested in, and I think you've shown that for now decades. Tell us about how you've innovated on that e-commerce front. What are some of the how have you innovated? Where's the innovation coming from that really is changing, helping you to get to that last mile a lot faster?
Mm-hmm. The innovation comes from the country. Innovation comes from our people.
Yeah.
Innovation comes from you guys. When we are you as a partner, we listen, we benchmark each other. This is where innovation comes from. But most important is really that we listen to our people.
Right.
And that we share everything what gets developed also as a best practice within the group. And if you recognize what people do, how you can make it better. For example, every day we have performance dialogues with our people. Every day, at least 15 minutes, we have performance dialogues with our people. You get a lot of feedback. Not only that you can talk about their targets, no, you get also a lot of feedback from the employee what you can do better. And this is where
so the employee drives these performance dialogues. That's really good. So and then starts out in the morning, or is that basically so the employee comes in and says, you know what, Regine, here's what I don't like. Or is that how it starts? Or
no, it's not what you don't like. It is a question. We have a culture of, let me say, do things better every day. And this is a very positive attitude. It's not about criticism, it's a positive attitude.
Right.
How we can serve our customer better, how can serve our colleagues better. For example, in HR, we developed a body program. We lost a lot of people within the first 6 months when they joined us, particularly in very big sizes. Yeah? We developed a body program to welcome every single employee personally, and he had a buddy dedicated to this newcomer, let me say, who really guides them through the first 6 months. And this is where, let me say, innovation comes from. It was born in a country, we picked it up, and we created a global program. And of course, it is then a global program with local bits and pieces.
And you have a program, I mean, an application called Smarter on your phones that connects every employee. And what else does it do?
Yeah, this is im Rahmen. This is digitalization. We were thinking, what does employee experience mean? And you know that, or you may know that 60% of our employees are frontline employees which have not an access to their to a laptop. So our question is, how can we reach out to these people? Yeah, because we want to communicate, we want to make their life easier, and this is where Smarter was born. And we are still in the development process and implementation process, but this is really where we want to make the life of our employees, our managers, much easier and have a kind of communication which goes in minutes to the people in Angola, in Iran, in the Philippines, wherever we are on the world.
So you've done a lot, John, a lot of experimentation that has bubbled up from these people. I mean, I know you tried drones early in 2014 to deliver medicines to a remote island off of Germany. That was pretty early, 2014. You used helicopters to get from JFK down to Wall Street to avoid the traffic in New York City. Recently, you just told me that you're using boats and bicycles now because in the Netherlands to deliver packages, because the new imperative is to think green.
Yeah. Just that on that helicopter, the longest running helicopter that's been serving our customers is the one from JFK down to the heliport in Lower Manhattan, and it shortens the transit time for our bank customers in that part of the banking district. But you're right, times have changed, and there's the odd drone delivery out there, but anyone that is aware of what happened at Gatwick Airport over Christmas, the drones are so highly regulated that I think the number of deliveries made by drone will be quite limited for some time to come. And then with the green movement, we need to be moving around our cities as efficiently and as effectively as we would in fast means of transportation. And we've been running a boat on the canals in Amsterdam for many, many years, but we've now linked that up for the last mile with, instead of a van that meets the boat, this cycle hub. So there's a number of bicycles waiting in parts of Amsterdam when the boat gets there. So you can imagine in a city like in a country like the Netherlands, a city like Amsterdam, how popular that is, how appreciated it is. It's a nation of bicycles anyway, and we are literally loved for it. The next concept is, now that Boris Johnson built his superhighway through London for cyclists, this means the traffic is becoming far more congested in the city of London, which means also we've got the opportunity to put a boat on the Thames and link up with these sort of bicycle or foot couriers at different spaces along, the city journey. So I think, we're moving with the times. It's very, very quickly evolving. There's cities in Oslo now that have stated that no diesel vehicles will be allowed in the city centre by certain dates. So we have a lot of electric vehicles on our fleet now, bicycles and everything else, and it's very important.
We talk about diverse workforces, and this is something that's obviously very important to your company, and you've walked the walk, as they say. But it's also diversity in the fact that you've got one of the largest airline fleets, around. I mean, in terms of actual planes, you have like 250 planes. That's a lot of pilots. That's, folks from all across the board. You've got from local couriers to people who are data analysts and a lot of very sophisticated parts of your logistics program. How do you manage the career trajectories for people who are so very different in terms of their professions?
We always say, know your number and know your people. So that's the first thing. Of course, we have also processes in place what every company in the meantime has. But the most important thing is to know your people. It doesn't matter where you go. You need to know your people. You need to know your talents. And we are traveling a lot to the countries. And we talk with these employees. We really want to know and understand what their career aspiration is. And therefore, it is so important to know your people. And besides, of course, we use our certified international certified program to develop our people. But we have also a lot of opportunities, new projects, new countries coming up, new products coming up. And we use our talents to really drive it further. And this is really interesting. In 220 countries, you have always opportunity also to move within these countries.
So John, you know, one of the things that's so fascinating is how much international cross-border trade is rising. It's growing by like 25% a year. 1 in 7 international express deliveries is now cross-border. It's in between. When we're seeing, obviously, the growth in Asian commerce, and I think China accounts for more than half of the global package delivery. Is that right?
Not quite more than half, but China is enormous inbound market, and it's an even larger outbound market, specifically to the USA.
And so how are you learning from the local countries and the local customs in terms of how to get those packages faster? What are you learning?
Yeah, well, you know, in a highly transactional business like ours, where you're moving well over 250 million packages a year, you have to have your hubs and your what we call our big hubs and pipes, which are hubs in Leipzig and our hubs in Singapore and Cincinnati and Hong Kong, and that's the connectivity by which all these shipments get to where they're meant to be. Very little goes wrong at origin pickup. Very little goes wrong at destination delivery. The opportunity for failure happens in the sky or through the big connecting hubs. So whether it's China or whether it's UK or whether it's Peru, the same systems and processes literally take place in order to facilitate the movement of that shipment. And it really is no different in China. I think China, we have an extraordinarily good partner in Sinotrans, and I think where companies have failed in China is not to partner with someone that knows the local business. And this talks to Regine's point about, as we established operations in all these different countries, we literally held hands and got married to a local partner within the first 2 weeks of our setup.
Was this in Vegas? Or no, where did you do this?
This was not in Vegas. In fact, I've never even been to Vegas, and I am happily married.
All right.
And it's also interesting. We really built a people network, not only an operational network, also a people network. And you see a few photos behind us where we have football cups in every region, every year, with around 2,000 to 3,000 people we invite from the different countries to go to one place and they compete with each other. We have EOY events, Employee of the Year events, where we really recognize the best people, behaved the best, went the extra mile, and we invite them 3 days to a really luxury hotel and they get treated like celebrities. And at the end, I really would like to mention that we have implemented a program which is called DHL Gotthard, and we really support people who give something back to the society. And we always ask for nominations, that colleagues nominate colleagues who does go the extra mile to give something back to the society. And we invite 3 people from every region to an event. We just came from Africa, where people go over the weekend to educate people who have no access to school, no access to education. And they do it every weekend. We have people who help that children can die at home because they don't have help in a hospital. This kind of let me say, giving back to the society. We recognize and we really donate to this community that they can even do more for their people in their local community.
Well, that's all the time we have. There's a big endorsement for a closer, more connected world and for motivating your people.
Yeah.
Thank you, Regine and John. Thank you.